ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. So let's inshallah continue with the Quranic diagrammatic overviews. Today we will be taking Surah Ibrahim, part of Hijr and Nahl. This is the 14th Juzz. We were unable to complete Surah Ibrahim yesterday, so inshallah we want to take these last 4 parts of Surah Ibrahim. But before we do that, we weren't able to do this last session, so let's inshallah do this session. The links between the surahs. So the previous surah to Ibrahim is Ar-Ra'd. Now Ar-Ra'd, the first point regarding the Rabt or the link is that it is giving us the philosophy of Haqq al-Batil, and it is presenting us the difference between Haqq and Batil using rational proofs and the proofs in the creation, the ayat, kawniyah. That's one thing. The next thing that this surah is giving us is, it is telling us that Allah Ta'ala, He always sends the Rasul in the language of the people, which is actually mentioned in Ibrahim, but related to that in Ra'd is the fact Allah Ta'ala has said Hukman Arabiyan. Allah Ta'ala, He has sent this Quran in Arabic because you are Arabic people. There's another link there. And the third link here is Ulul Albab, mentioned in Surah Al-Ra'd. These are the people of Tawheed. We mentioned yesterday, the people of Tawheed are the wise people. These are Ulul Albab, people of intellect. And here we will find today, the next thing that we're actually going to look at, the 5th section, is the similitude of a pure word, which is the kalima tayyiba, which is Tawheed. So the Ulul Albab, they always have the kalima tayyiba. Another link. Now, the next link between now Ibrahim, Surah Ibrahim, and the next surah which is coming, which is Hijr. In Surah Ibrahim, there will be the mention of Ayyamillah. We mentioned this before. Ayyamillah, the days of Allah, when Allah destroyed the nations. Ayyamillah. And that will then be elaborated on in the next surah, Surah Al-Hijr, in the stories of Lut alayhi salam, Shu'aib alayhi salam, and Thamud. The people of Thamud. So Ayyamillah mentioned there, but elaborated on in the Surah Al-Hijr. And then, if we then go to Nahl, through that path, Surah Al-Hijr, this is telling the followers of Shaitan, meaning the Qurayshi leadership, about the warning about previous nations. And in Nahl, Allah Ta'ala, He compares the Salih leadership, the righteous leadership of Allah's Rasul and His Messenger and his Sahaba companions, with the the leadership of Quraysh, which is a corrupt leadership. So there is a comparison there. You seeing the flow? Now you should really make a note. I know it's maybe not enough time, but you should try to make some note so that you can go back and reflect on these things, inshallah. And the end of the 2 surahs, Hijr and Nahl, I will mention again when we start them, they both end on advice and guidance to the believers on how to remain steadfast in their mission. Anyway, with that brief introduction, let's now go to Surah Ibrahim, ayahs 24 to 27. Let's go straight into it. The similitude or the example of a pure word and an impure word. أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ ضَرَبَ اللَّهُ مَثَلًا كَلِمَةً طَيِّبَةً كَشَجَرَةٍ طَيِّبَةٍ أَصْلُهَا صَابِتٌ وَفَرْعُهَا فِي السَّمَاءِ. Have you not considered how Allah presents the example, an example making a good word like a good tree, which is the kalima tayyiba, which is la ilaha illallah, like a good tree, whose root is firmly fixed, meaning in the heart of the believer, and its branches high up in the sky, meaning the person's now a'mal, good actions, good akhlaq. This is a good word, la ilaha illallah. تُؤْتِي أُكُلَهَا كُلَّ حِينٍ بِإِذْنِ رَبِّهَا. It produces its fruits all the time, so it's always doing fruitful things. The believer is always doing things which are of benefit. And there's a hadith regarding this. The Prophet ﷺ asked, what is the example, which tree is the example of the believer, and so on and so forth. The hadith, you have to refer to it. But inshallah, if you look into Tafsir Ibn Kathir, you'll see that. وَيَضْرِبُ اللَّهُ الْأَمْثَالَ لِلنَّاسِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَذَكَّرُونَ. And Allah, He presents examples for people so that they may give it thought. And then the opposite, وَمَثَلُ كَلِمَةٍ خَبِيثَةٍ. The example of a bad or impure word, which is the kalima of kufr, is like كَشَجَرَةٍ خَبِيثَةٍ, is just like that tree which itself is a bad tree. اجتثت من فوق الأرض. It is uprooted from the surface of the earth, meaning it has no roots, it has no basis, baseless. ما لها من قرار, and it will not have any stability. So the haqq is truth which is well cemented, yeah, deep rooted, because it is true, it is real. The batil, because it is falsehood, it has no roots and it has no stability, and eventually it will be uprooted. But look at this, subhanallah, 27. يُثَبِّتُ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Allah Ta'ala, He makes steadfast. He makes those steadfast who آمَنُوا بِالْقَوْلِ الثَّابِتِ. The people who believe بِالْقَوْلِ الثَّابِتِ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ. He gives steadfastness to the people who have this قَوْلِ الثَّابِتِ, La ilaha illallah, in the dunya and in the akhirah. This is amazing ayah, subhanallah. We should ask Allah Ta'ala to give us this. ثبت قلوبنا, yeah, ala dinik, ya Allah. Then make us steadfast on your deen, on this qawl thabit, la ilaha illallah. Meaning that we believe and we patiently persist on la ilaha illallah in all the affairs. This is tawheed. Tawheed is an action. Tawheed is an action. Without action, there's no tawheed. Tawheed means to make Allah the one and only priority in every action, to refer back to Allah in every action. Then you are doing Tawheed. Yeah? Khair. وَيُضِلُّ اللَّهُ الظَّالِمِينَ وَيَفْعَلُ اللَّهُ مَا يَشَاءُ. Okay, let's move on then. Let's go to the next section, section 6. Which is talking about being grateful for Allah's favors, otherwise you will be punished. Subhanallah. And Allah Ta'ala is talking to the Quraysh, yeah, and the leaders, especially the leaders. Subhanallah. Look at the favors Allah He gave them. He made them the leaders of the Kaaba, yeah, the hub of the dunya. Today, how many million, if not more than that, go to Kaabatullah? They could have believed and they could have left a legacy of belief, but they didn't. Allah gave them the offer. Let's take a few ayat, 28 to 29. أَلَمْ تَرَ إِلَى الَّذِينَ بَدَّلُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ كُفْرًا وَأَحَلُّوا قَوْمَهُمْ دَارَ الْبَوَارِ. Have you not considered those who exchanged for the favor of Allah disbelief? Yeah, they could have believed, but they took disbelief and they settled their people in the home of ruin, meaning that on the day of judgment they have now taken these people into a bankrupt situation. On the day of judgment they'll be bankrupt. Jahannam yaslawnaha, they will enter into the Jannah. Wa bi'sal qarar, this is the wretched place to be. Settlement. It then mentions about shukr. Yeah, the believer, he is grateful in that he establishes prayer for shukr and gives in the cause of Allah out of that which has been given to him, which is infaq. And then Allah Ta'ala mentions after all these ni'am, all these blessings, Allah Ta'ala says, وَآتَاكُم مِّن كُلِّ مَا سَأَلْتُمُوهُ. This is ayah 34. And we have given you all that you asked for. وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. If you start to enumerate, you start to count the blessings of Allah, you can't. They are uncountable, subhanAllah. Just like the stars. Start counting them, you can never count them. More than that, the blessings are of Allah. إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَظَلُومٌ كَفَّارٌ. But unfortunately, man is most unjust and ungrateful for what he has been given. Moving on to the next section then, section 7. You see, talking about history again, the historical events, especially focusing on Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam. So take the historical events and the history of Ibrahim as a lesson for Tawheed and gratefulness. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he is an example of being grateful. Yeah, let's just take 2 ayat for this. He is an example of being grateful. Now, in this part, he mentions his dua, which we all pray in Salah. Rabbi ja'alni muqima as-salati min dhurriyyati rabbana wa taqabbal du'a. Rabbana ighfir li wa liwalidayya wa lil mu'minina yawma yaqumul hisab. This is one dua that he was taught by Allah, and Allah has mentioned that. And subhanallah, the ayah that I want to show you, an umillah, 39 to 41. No, khair, anyway. Maybe I have mixed up the ayat. Khair, anyway. So this is mentioning Ibrahim alayhi salam and his dua and his gratefulness to Allah. And the last section that we want to take for Surah Ibrahim is a warning now. Allah Ta'ala is warning the people of understanding. Ulul albab. Yeah, we have been mentioning this word quite a few times. First time we mentioned it in which surah, do you remember? Al-Baqarah. You sure? Ali Imran. Ayah 190. And then before that in the beginning of Surah Ali Imran. Good, mashallah. So this is a warning for people of understanding through the scenes of the Akhirah and the Quran. So some scenes of the Akhirah have been given here. Just take some of them. 42 to 43. Subhanallah. Now we need to see this in the context. The believers are going through persecution, hardship, and it seems as if there is no end to this, and that the disbelievers, the enemies of Allah, as if they are nobody to catch them. Yeah, they're going scot-free. Allah Ta'ala says, وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ اللَّهَ غَافِلًا عَمَّا يَعْمَلُ الظَّالِمُونَ. Don't ever think that Allah Ta'ala is unaware of what these wrongdoers are doing. Don't ever think that. إِنَّمَا يُؤَخِّرُهُمْ لِيَوْمٍ تَشْخَصُ فِيهِ الْأَبْصَارُ. We are not but giving them respite, time until a day when the eyes will stare in horror. Subhanallah. And look at the state of these people, what they will be. مُحْتِئِينَ مُقْنِئِ رُؤُوسِهِمْ. Raising a head, their heads raised up, because they would be bound with collars. Their glance does not come back to them, meaning they are so terrified. وَأَفْئِدَتَهُمْ هَوَاء. And their hearts are void. Yeah? Subhanallah. Scary, the scene of the Day of Judgment. And what will they say to Allah? وأنذر الناس يوم يأتيهم العذاب فيقول الذين ظلموا ربنا أخرنا إلى أجل قريب نجب دعوتك ونتبع الرسل. Subhanallah. They will say to Allah, send us back, we will respect and we will accept the Rasul, the messengers. But it's too late. Subhanallah. But it will be said to them, أَوَلَمْ تَكُونَ أَقْسَمْتُم مِّن قَبْلُ مَا لَكُم مِّن زَوَالٍ. Had you not sworn before that that for you there would be no cessation, meaning you didn't think this would happen anyway? Did you swear by that? Yes, you did. You were firm on that you would not come to this. So Allah Ta'ala, He is now giving them more humiliation upon the humiliation on the Day of Judgment. A'udhu billah. And look at this, subhanallah. فَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ اللَّهَ يُخْلِفَ وَعْدِهِ رُسُولَهُ. Do not ever think, do not ever reckon, do not let this thought even come to your mind that Allah, He would ever break the promise that He's given to the Rasul. What is the promise to the Rasul?
Messengers.
Yeah. What is the promise? No. What is the message? What is the promise Allah has promised the messengers? The promise is that Allah Ta'ala, He will make them victorious. And He will protect them from the people. Inna Allah Aziz. He is Aziz. Mighty. Dhuntiqam. And He will take revenge. Subhanallah. Look at this, subhanallah. The end of time is being told to us. يَوْمَ تُبَدَّلُ الْأَرْضُ غَيْرَ الْأَرْضِ وَالسَّمَاوَاتِ. Allah, He will change the earth and the heavens with another earth and heaven. وَبَرَزُوا لِلَّهِ الْوَاحِدِ الْقَهَّارِ. And everybody will come out before Allah, the one who is prevalent over everything, for judgment. وَتَرَى الْمُجْرِمِينَ يَوْمَئِذٍ مُقَرِّنِينَ فِي الْأَصْفَادِ. And you will see the criminals that day bound together in irons. They will be bound together in iron fetters. سَرَابِيلُهُم مِّن قَطِرَانٍ. Their garments of liquid pitch. You know the liquid that they make the roads with. A'udhu billah. Garments of that. Can we believe? Can we understand? وَتَغْشَى وُجُوهُهُمُ النَّارِ, and their face will be covered by fire. لِيَجْزِيَ اللَّهُ كُلَّ نَفْسٍ مَا كَسَبَتْ, so that Allah will recompense every soul what they earned. إِنَّ اللَّهَ سَرِيعُ الْحِسَابِ, He is very quick in the retribution, in the account. And then at the end, هَذَا بَلَاغٌ, this is the message that is being sent to you, given to you. لِلنَّاسِ, for the people, وَلِيُنذِرُوا بِهِ, so that they may take a warning from it. وَلِيَعْلَمُوا, and so that they know, أَنَّمَا, that there is nothing but huwa ilahu wahid, that Allah is the only one worthy of worship. وَلِيَذَّكَّرَ أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ, but only the people of intellect will actually give it thought, and they will take a reminder from it. May Allah make us from the ulul albab. I wish we had time for this, but khair inshallah. Surah Ibrahim is an amazing surah, subhanallah al-azim. Moving on then to the next surah, Surah Al-Hijr and Surah Al-Nahl. Now we mentioned that these two have a lot of things in common. The main thing that we want to take from this is that it compares the Salihin leadership and the corrupt leadership. That's one thing. And it will give us the news of the previous nations as a news and as a warning to the Quraysh. And the end of the two surahs are encouraging and giving guidance, guidelines, instructions, strategies to the believers on how to remain steadfast and how to continue with their mission. And subhanallah, I think not even one surah that we have looked at so far, has there been any surah where dawah is not mentioned? Nowhere. Subhanallah. Okay, period of revelation for Surah Al-Hijr. This is again near the end of the Nabawi era, 11th to 12th year of Nabawi. There was severe opposition for the Muslimin. So times were very, very tough. And the Quraysh are saying that the Prophet ﷺ, na'udhu billah, as if he is a madman, majnoon. And they were mocking him. But Allah Ta'ala, He starts with something. In this surah, we will come to in a minute. Let's look at the central theme. There is the dialogue in this surah with the deniers of Tawheed, Risala and Akhirah. These are the three parts of what did we say? These are three what? Imaniyat. Are we here? Are we somewhere else? Imaniyat, yeah? Tawheed, Risala, Akhirah, Imaniyat. When you give da'wah, you must tell people these three things. Yeah? These three things, inshallah. Instruction to accept the Creator and Sustainer as Ilah. You remember the difference we mentioned? They accepted Allah as Allah, but they didn't accept Him as Ilah. Meaning they didn't devote every action that they did to Allah, and they did not subserve Allah. They did not obey Allah in all the matters in their life. They chose what they wanted to do, and then they chose what their forefather did. Muslims should continue inviting to the truth with patience, perseverance and wisdom. So that's the central theme. Let's take the inshallah first section then. First section, ayat 1 to 15, a warning of annihilation to those who call the Prophet possessed and who ridicule the Quran. Allah Ta'ala, He's warning them. Let's take ayah number 2 then of Surah Al-Hijr. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام را تلك آيات الكتاب وقرآن مبين ربما يود الذين كفروا لو كانوا مسلمين. Perhaps those who believe will wish that they had been Muslims. The tafsir of this is really, subhanallah. Allah Ta'ala is telling us that the people who disbelieve on every occasion, they will regret that, I wish I was a believer. We wish we were a believer. We wish. One of them, instances, is in the hellfire. When this disbeliever will be in the hellfire, and he will see a believer in the hellfire. And he will say, why are you here? You used to believe. As if, to say, what benefit did it give you, your belief? Allah Ta'ala, He will become very angry at this, and He will take the believer and put him into Jannah. And then the disbeliever will say, I wish I had believed. This is one instance. So Allah Ta'ala is saying at every instance they will regret disbelief. Khair, moving on. Ayat 6 to 8. Let's take 6 to 8. So they are saying, that the Prophet ﷺ, na'udhu billah, he is possessed. وَقَالُوا يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِي نُزِّلَ عَلَيْهِ الذِّكْرُ إِنَّكَ لَمَجْنُونَ. So he's saying, oh, you upon whom the message has been sent down, indeed you are mad. Meaning that if you think you have a message, we think there's something wrong with you. لَوْ مَا تَأْتِينَ بِالْمَلَائِكَةِ إِن كُنْتَ مِنَ الصَّادِقِينَ. And why do you not bring us the angels? Again, they keep saying the same thing, same thing, same thing. Repeat performance. If you are truthful. Allah Ta'ala is telling them the sunnah of Allah. مَا نُنَزِّلُ الْمَلَائِكَةَ إِلَّا بِالْحَقِّ وَمَا كَانُوا إِذًا مُنْذَرِينَ. Subhanallah. We do not send down the angels except with truth, meaning decision time. End of time for you, time's up, that's it. And they, the disbelievers, would not then be repeated, they have nothing after that. So this is the blessing from Allah, He hasn't sent the angels, because when they come, time's up. And here Allah Ta'ala is telling us, إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. That verily it is us, meaning Allah, who has sent down this al-dhikr. Now can you make a note of this al-dhikr, because al-dhikr we will mention also in the next ayah, surah as well, al-dhikr. Okay? We have sent down this dhikr and we have guarded it, protected it. Meaning you want the miracle, you want miracles, the Quran is the miracle. It is guarded, protected, free of any addition, subtraction, etc., etc. If you really want the truth, it is there for you to take. And today this is just as true as it was when the Quran was being revealed. We should have full yaqeen, iman in this Quran. That is, I would say, 70% of your da'wah, your yaqeen in the hereafter in this Quran. Even if you can't give the full arguments, your yaqeen itself is a great argument. When you speak to the person who is like kalima khabitha, no roots. The batil has no roots. The ideology has no roots. Yes? Khair. Moving on to 14 and 15. And now Allah Ta'ala is saying, okay, you wanted miracles, let me tell you the situation. وَلَوْ فَتَحْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ بَابًا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ فَظَلُّوا مِنْ فِيهِ يَعْرُجُونَ. And even if we open to them a gate from the heaven and they continued therein to ascend, they were going up in heaven, لَقَالُوا إِنَّمَا سُكِّرَتْ أَبْصَارُنَا بَلْ نَحْنُ قَوْمًا مَسْحُورُونَ. They would say, our eyes only have been dazzled. This is some sort of visual, miracle. Or this is some sort of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Illusion. Jazakallah khair. Rather, we are a people affected by magic. So they will not accept any miracle. They will not accept any miracle. Moving on then to the second section. The second section is talking about the proof of Tawheed through signs in nature. You remember we mentioned 4 signs yesterday, 4 ayat? You remember, When you are giving da'wah, you need to pick which ayat I'm going to share with this person. This person is more inclined towards looking at the dunya, or is he this person more reflective? Or this person, he looks more into history, etc., etc. Then you judge and then you give the appropriate medicine for the appropriate disease, inshallah, bidhnillah. Proof of Tawheed through signs in nature. So it mentions the earth, the sky, the mountains, the clouds, the rain. And it mentions that just like the rain gives life to the dead soil, Allah will bring back the dead to life. Simple. You see it every day. You see it every year. The seasons change, subhanallah. During spring, we as Muslims, we need to observe nature. We don't observe nature. We think it's boring. We'd rather watch football. I'm not saying you can't watch, I'm not saying anything, But, we should observe nature, especially in the spring. Just when the trees are about to blossom. And you think of Quran, you say, subhanallah, look at that. Just like that, Allah, He does it every year. And then, in the autumn, the leaves start to shed. Just like that Allah Ta'ala, He decreases something or something dies. Subhanallah. And in the winter, things hibernate. We were in hibernation before we were born. Then we were in our mother's wombs. Then in this dunya, then we will go into hibernation again in the grave. Then Allah will bring us back out. Subhanallah. Look at all these cycles. All these cycles random? Subhanallah. Of course not. There is purpose behind this creation. And just one ayah we'll take from this, ayah 19. The balance that Allah Ta'ala, He has set up. وَالْأَرْضَ مَدَدْنَاهَا وَالْقَيْنَا فِيهَا رَوَاسِيَ وَأَنْبَتْنَا فِيهَا مِنْ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ مَوْزُونٍ. And the earth we have spread it and cast therein firmly set mountains and caused to grow therein something of every well-balanced thing. There is balance in nature. Everything Allah created initially was perfectly balanced, but man and jinn, they corrupted the land. Yeah? بِمَا كَسَبَتْ أَيْدِي النَّاسِ, Allah Ta'ala says. ظَهَرَ الْفَسَادَ فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ. The fasad has appeared on the land and in the sea, بِمَا كَسَبَتْ أَيْدِي النَّاسِ, because of that what humans' hands have earned. All these issues with global warming and etc., all this. Either they are farming too much or they're not farming enough, or they're cutting too much wood down or they're not, etc. Balance has been lost because we left the balance. The balance is this Quran. Khair, moving on. Let's take the third section of this surah. So we talked, the first signs were the signs in nature, yeah? The next signs now are the signs within the nafs, inside the person. So the phenomenon of struggle between good and evil. In every human there is good and evil struggle, yeah? This is a sign. This is a sign. Good should lead to good, bad should lead to bad. If you don't believe in a hereafter, it's all rubbish, nonsense, useless, futile. There's no objective, there's no purpose, makes no sense. Islam is the only, of course Islam is the only, because this is from Allah. The belief in Allah is the only thing that makes sense of everything, good and bad. Nothing else can make sense of everything except for what Allah has given to us. Let's take a few ayat here then. It talks about shaitan in this section. I'm not going to take that Adam and Iblis, we've mentioned the story, but inshallah recite it when you go after this, just so that you inshallah have the full effect of this. Bismillah. Okay, let's take this ayah then, 39 and 40, about shaitan and his, what is shaitan saying? Because we need to know our enemy, yeah? Otherwise we don't know how to defend ourselves. We don't know our enemy and his strategies. قَالَ رَبِّي, so this is after he has been expelled, yeah? قَالَ رَبِّي بِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي, oh my Lord, because you have put me in error. Look, he's blaming Allah for his own mistakes, subhanallah. Look at Allah, He's so Rahim. He still didn't kill him, finish him, destroy him. He gave him time. لَأُوزَيَّنَّ أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وَلَأُزَيِّنَنَّ لَهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلَأُغْوِيَنَّهُم أَجْمَعِينَ. I will surely make disobedience attractive to people. I will make things attractive to people. Yeah, I'm mentioning this again. I mentioned it many sessions ago. Gambling, yeah? Gambling, yeah? You see the advert, very happy. Huh? Very nice. And in the small print at the bottom, you know what I read again? It says there is a gambling helpline. Can you believe it? I couldn't believe it. Gambling helpline. Because they know this is a problem, so they need to have a helpline. Why give them the problem in the first place? You don't need helpline then. Subhanallah. So shaitan will make these things look very nice, yeah? Attractive. Fil ard wala ughwiyannahum, and I will mislead them all. This is shaitan saying, but there is an exception. Illa ibadak, except for your true servants. Minhumul mukhlasin, the ones you have chosen, because they have chosen you. Mukhlis, if we were to read mukhlis, they have become purely devoted to you. Mukhlas, Allah has chosen them. Okay, moving on then, inshallah, to next ayah. Allah Ta'ala is then telling us about the result of the people of the Jahannam and the people of Jannah. Yeah? Okay. Innal muttaqina fi jannati wa uyun. 45. People of the muttaqwa in gardens, yeah? and springs. Udkhuluha bisalamin aminin. They will enter in there peacefully. وَنَزَعْنَا مَا فِي صُدُورِهِم مِّن غِلٍّ. Remember, we mentioned ghil? Remember? Ghil? Yeah, you have some sort of resentment with each other over something, Allah will take it out. إِخْوَانًا عَلَى سُرُرٍ مُتَقَابِلِينَ. And they will be on thrones facing each other like we are sitting. Subhanallah. Inshallah. Ameen. Ask Allah for it. Ameen. You never know. This might be the time Allah accepts it. Ameen. Khair. And then Allah Ta'ala is telling us about وَأَنَّ عَذَابِي هُوَ الْعَذَابُ الْأَلِيمُ. But my punishment, which is painful punishment as well. There is adhab, but there is reward depending on the person and what the person chooses. Moving on then to the next section. Ayat 51 to 84. This is section 4 or part 4. These are some historical proofs. Yeah, because we mentioned in the previous surah there was the word ayyamillah, days of Allah. In this surah the ayyamillah are now being elaborated on. It talks about Ibrahim alayhi salam. Yeah, Ibrahim alayhi salam, and it says when the angels came to Ibrahim alayhi salam before they came to Lut alayhi salam, they gave him the good news of Ishaq and Yaqub, and they were astonished, him and his wife. Then Allah Ta'ala is saying, do not ever despair of the mercy of Allah. La taqnatu min rahmatillah. Do not despair of the mercy. This is telling the believers, yeah, don't despair of the mercy of Allah, victory is coming. And then it talks about Lut alayhi salam and his story, Shu'aib alayhi salam and his story, and the people of Hijr or the people of Ad, Thamud. Yeah, I'm not going to go into detail because we looked at this already in the previous surahs. Fifth section then, console and guidance for the Prophet to continue with his invitation in the face of difficulty. It's difficult, you need to continue. So these are the guidelines given to the believers. We will take some of these ayat because they are very relevant to us, inshallah, because we are part of that group who are, inshallah, going to invite people to back to Islam, inshallah. So let's take 85. وَمَا خَلَقْنَا السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا إِلَّا بِالْحَقِّ. Allah Ta'ala is saying He did not create the heavens and the earth and whatever is between except for a reason. وَإِنَّ السَّاعَةَ لَآتِيَةٌ. And the hour is coming. فَاصْفَحِ الصَّفْحَ الْجَمِيلَ. So forgive with gracious forgiveness. Meaning, they are being abusive, you be forgiving. Beautiful forgiveness. إِنَّ رَبَّكَ هُوَ الْخَلَّاقُ الْأَلِيمُ. Allah is the knower, He is the creator. وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَكَ سَبْعًا مِنَ الْمَثَانِ وَالْقُرْآنِ الْعَظِيمِ. And we have certainly given you, O Muhammad, 7 of the oft repeated verses, meaning the Quran, meaning the Al-Fatiha. So recite them often. This is what is being told to us, meaning as-salah. وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. And what else? Other guidance. وَلَا تَمُدَّ. Are you making note of these guidances? How will you be guided if you don't make note of the guidance? Allahu musta'an. Allahumma yahdina ameen. لا تمدن عينيك إلى ما متعنا به أزواجا منهم ولا تحزن عليهم واخفض جناحك للمؤمنين. Many things given here. Do not extend your eyes towards that which we have given them of enjoyment to certain categories of them. Don't look at what they have worldly wise and think, oh, they have it, we don't have it. This means, what does this mean? This means nothing. This means Allah is testing them and they are failing in the test. This is what it means. And do not grieve over them. And lower your wing in kindness to the believers. So attitude towards the people you're calling to, do not kill yourself for that. And with the believers who are with you in this mission, show mercy on them. وَقُلْ إِنِّي أَنَا النَّذِيرُ الْمُبِينُ. And just tell them I'm plain warner, nothing more than that. And let's move on, few ayat. Now 94, more advice and guidance. فَاسْدَعْ بِمَا تُؤْمَرْ. And declare what you have been commanded. You have been commanded to tell them to come to La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. وَأَعْرِضْ عَنِ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. And then turn away from the mushrikeen, meaning leave them, turn away, keep your mission. Yeah? If they're receptive, you accept. If they're not receptive, turn away, carry on. إِنَّكَ فَيْنَاكَ الْمُسْتَهْزِئِينَ. Remember in the beginning of the surah, Allah Ta'ala mentioned that they were mocking the Prophet ﷺ, that, oh, he's a madman, na'udhu billah. Allah Ta'ala saying, I will be sufficient for you as a support against the people who mock you, don't worry. Yeah, don't worry. الَّذِينَ يَجْعَلُونَ مَعَ اللَّهِ إِلَهًا آخَرَ فَسَوْفَ يَعْلَمُونَ. And look at this, subhanallah, this is a beautiful ayah. وَلَقَدْ نَعْلَمُ أَنَّكَ يَضِيقُ صَدْرُكَ بِمَا يَقُولُونَ. Subhanallah. and we already know that your breast is constrained by what they say. Allah Ta'ala knows the grief of the Prophet ﷺ. You can't translate this in English. يَضِيقُ صَدْرَكَ. It's killing you as if. Allah Ta'ala says, I know what's inside you. You're not expressing it. I know. فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ. So how to cure that? Do tasbih of Allah. وَكُمْ مِنَ السَّاجِدِينَ. And again, sajda, prayer. Whenever the Prophet ﷺ was distressed, he would start to pray. Straight away, start to pray to Allah. And then, وَعْبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَكَ الْيَقِينَ. And keep praying, and keep your observance with Allah. Obey Him, serve Him, be slave to Him, hatta, until the thing which is sure comes. What is sure? For sure, what is for sure? Your death. Of course, and Yawm al-Qiyamah. Because everybody's death is that person's Yawm al-Qiyamah, starting of. Khair. Moving on then to the next surah, Surah Nahl. Surah Nahl, as you can see in a bit, is a very lengthy surah. Who knows the meaning of the word Nahl? Ya Ahl al-Quran. Oh, students of Quran. What is the meaning of the word Nahl? Nahl. Do you know, do you like honey, anybody?
Yeah.
Good. The bee. Huh? Nahl, the bee. Now this surah, just some introductory. Surah Nahl. Nahl. Yeah. This again is in the same time period, the last 1 or 2 years of the Nabawi period, so 12, 13 Nabawi in Makkah. And this is after the famine. A famine took place in Makkah. This is after the famine. And just to repeat the relationship between these two surahs, Hijr and Nahl, the followers of righteousness, the Sahaba, and the followers of evil, which are the Quraysh, they are going to be now compared. And at the end of this surah also, there is guidance for the believers to remain steadfast. Because Allah Ta'ala, He's taking care of the people who are doing His work on earth, who are conveying His message. Okay, let's take the central theme then. Dialogue with the deniers of Tawheed, Risala and Akhirah. Again, same thing, yeah? These three things are what? I mentioned. What are they? You're reading there, I'm saying what are they? Risala, Akhirah and Tawheed, Risala and Imaniyat. 3 imans, yeah? When you give da'wah, you must cover these 3. Yeah? Okay. Instruction to accept the Creator and Sustainer as Ilah. Again, same problem, yeah? You must obey Allah. Not just say He's there, but I do what I want. What is that? Yeah? Subhanallah, what is this? It's contradictory. Muslims should continue inviting to the truth with patience, perseverance and wisdom. No surah you will find without da'wah in it. No surah. Subhanallah. Whole mission of the Prophet ﷺ, da'wah. Since he was made prophet until he passed away, ﷺ, one day he did not but give da'wah. Not even one day. He never took vacation. That tells us something about what this ummah should do, must do, has to do, inshallah will do to be successful. Surah Nahl. This is also called the Surah of Ni'am, the Surah of blessings. We will find many blessings in this, subhanallah, of creation. Amazing. Unfortunately, no time to go through it, but beautiful. When we do tafsir, because we do tafsir in our own classes separately, we went through this, mashallah, beautiful, subhanallah. It makes your heart, think about creation, subhanallah. Khair, proofs for the Creator and Sustainer and instruction to accept Him as Ilah. So it talks about, I will just list these things, yeah, in these ayat, between 1 and 21. It talks about Allah Ta'ala, He created the heavens and the earth. He created man from clay. He created the cattle. The cattle have been mentioned a lot in this. Later on we will see again. He created the mules and the donkeys, which help you to transport things which are heavy for you to transport on your own. Just imagine you had to carry sacks of rice from Tesco to your home, yeah? Sacks, not one sack, sacks. And you didn't have a car. Difficult, yeah? In those days, this was the only transport. And they used to use this transport. So Allah Ta'ala is saying, look at these, learn a lesson from these ayat. Then the rain is mentioned. Then Allah Ta'ala mentions the crops that grow, the olives that you eat, the date palms, the night and the day, how it alternates, comes and goes. In one part of the Quran, Allah Ta'ala says, what would you do, or who would you go to if Allah made the night perpetual, just night? Who would bring the day other than Allah? Nobody. If Allah made the day perpetual, all the time is day, who can bring the night other than Allah? Nobody, subhanallah. Allah Ta'ala, He is yudabbirul amr, He is maintaining everything, managing everything, conveying, He is commanding things to happen. Nothing happens but by His command, Azza wa Jal. Talks about the mountains, and before that, the seafood. You know, seafood, subhanallah, so much food in the sea. We still haven't got to the bottom of the sea. We don't know what else is there. And the jewels that we extract from the sea. All these ni'mah, all these blessings. And is it not amazing? Is it not amazing? Just think about this, yeah? Is it not amazing that all these things, they actually benefit us and we like them? Is that coincidence? That these things are there and we like them and they benefit us and they go with us. There's protein, carbohydrate, minerals, and that's what our body needs. Allahu Akbar. Signs in the ayat of Allah, in the creation of Allah. But for the people who want to be guided, you can go blue in the face trying to explain this to certain people. Kibr. Kibr will not allow them to hear it. And then it's telling us the objective. After all this is mentioned, just one or two ayat let me take from this surah. After all these ni'mah, all these blessings have been mentioned, then Allah Ta'ala, He mentions again what we said before in the previous surah again as well. This ayah, let's take this, 17 and 18. أَفَمَنْ يَخْلُقُ كَمَنْ لَا يَخْلُقُ. Then is he who creates like the one who does not create? The ones that you worship, are they the same as the one who created? أَفَلَا تَذَكَّرُونَ. So will you not be reminded? وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. Again, mentioned here again. If you start to count the favors of Allah, you can't count them. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَغَفُورٌ rahim. But even then, this is a subtle point here, yeah? You can't count the blessings, but you should show gratitude. But you don't count the blessings, you don't show gratitude, even then Allah Ta'ala is saying, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَغَفُورٌ rahim. Allah Ta'ala, He still forgives you. Meaning that He doesn't catch you for not being ungrateful. So Allah Ta'ala is giving us advice here to be grateful to Him. Wallahu ya'lamu ma tusirruna wa ma tu'linun. He knows everything that you conceal and you hide. And then again to the Quraysh, وَالَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ لَا يَخْلُقُونَ شَيْئًا وَهُمْ يُخْلَقُونَ. The people who you are worshipping, not only do they not create anything, they themselves were created. You created them. What did Umar radiallahu anhu used to say before he became Muslim? Yes. Yeah. So he made an idol out of dates. Yeah. And when he was hungry, he would eat it and he would think, what am I doing? After he became Muslim, subhanallah. So you make it yourself, like Ibrahim used to say to his father Azar, you made this with your own hands. How can you, subhanallah. There's so many people who do that. May Allah guide all of them and all of us, ameen. أَمْوَاتٌ غَيْرُ أَحْيَا وَمَا يَشْعُرُونَ أَيَّانَ يُبْعَثُونَ. They are in fact dead. These things that you worship, they're dead. Made of stone, made of wood. They're dead, not alive. And they do not perceive when they will be resurrected. They don't know anything. SubhanAllah. You're asking things that don't exist. You just made them up yourself, concocted them. Okay, moving on to the second section then. The second section is talking about the crimes of Quraysh. They would ridicule, they were arrogant. They would say, their attitude, their attitude. Let's compare the two attitudes of the disbelievers to Quran and the believers to Quran. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ مَاذَا أَنزَلَ رَبُّكُمْ, when it is said to them, what has your Lord sent down? So when it's asked to them, what has your Lord sent down? What did they say? قَالُوا أَسَاطِيرُ الْأَوَّلِينَ. These are tales of the ancient. Yeah? Nothing, don't worry about this. This is old stories, forget it. Nothing, yeah? Don't give it any importance. Just like they would have this mass media propaganda campaign against the Prophet ﷺ, that belittle it so much that people won't even consider it, or make people hate it so much that they don't want to go near it. But subhanallah, every time this has happened in the history, more people have come to Islam. Subhanallah. But the people of shaitan and the khabathat, yeah, they never learn the lesson. They will never learn the lesson until it's too late. They need guidance. May Allah guide them to see what is right. And what Allah Ta'ala is saying, and what they are doing by this, I want you to see this in context, yeah? They are, with this propaganda, mass propaganda, they are misleading people, yeah? So Allah Ta'ala is saying, لِيَحْمَلُوا أَوْزَارَهُمْ كَامِلَةً يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. They are doing this, they are saying this, so that they can take the weight, yeah, completely on the Day of Judgment. وَمِنْ أَوْزَارِ الَّذِينَ يُضِلُّونَهُمْ بِغَيْرِ إِلْمٍ, and of their own and the people who they misguided. Subhanallah. Can we imagine the hisab of the mass media against Allah and His Rasul? The amount of people that they, in that time, with their mass media, they misguided. How many people they led astray until the Day of Judgment? They have to account for all of them. All of their sins, will they have a part in it. Subhanallah. Just as all the good that any Muslim does after the Prophet ﷺ, Prophet ﷺ has a part in it. Subhanallah. Yeah? So sadaqah jariyah, you can either start a good sadaqah jariyah or a bad sadaqah jariyah, but we are sadaqah jariyah by default. We can't help it. We are role models by default. We cannot but help it. Hence we need to make the most of this opportunity. Moving on then. What is the attitude of the believers? So Allah Ta'ala is saying they will be entered into the hellfire. Yani no time I want you to go to it, but khair anyway. وَقِيلَ لِلَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا مَاذَا أَنزَلَ رَبُّكُمْ. When it is said to the people of taqwa, what has your Lord revealed? قَالُوا خَيْرًا. What He has revealed is better. Subhanallah. لِلَّذِينَ أَحْسَنُوا فِي هَذِهِ الدُّنْيَا حَسَنًا. For people of good, there is good in this dunya. وَلَدَارُ الْآخِرَةِ خَيْرٌ. And the hereafter, yeah, the home in the hereafter is better and is good. وَنِعْمَ دَارُ الْمُتَّقِينَ. And what the beautiful house of the people of taqwa. Subhanallah. جنات عدن يدخلونها تجري من تحتها الأنهار لهم فيها ما يشاءون كذلك يجزي الله المتقين. They will have everything that they want. I'm not translating word by word because it takes too long. They will have everything that they want. How much can a person want? How many zeros we can put on a blank check? We'll get tired. To the power of how much? To the power of what? How much can we want? Allah will give mazid and more. Subhanallah. How many wives a person can have in Jannah? Allah will say have more. Allah al-Musta'an. Now people have woken up, alhamdulillah, good. Yeah? Allah al-Musta'an. Okay, moving on then. Let's go to the next section. Very long section. I will summarize the section instead of going through the ayah by ayah. Section 3, 35 ayat, ayah 35 to 89. Let's just have a look some of the points here. This is proof for the refutation of the deniers of Tawheed, Risala and Akhirah, and a warning to them. So there are different ayat given here. Let's just take 48 to 60, proof for Tawheed and proofs for the rejectors of the Akhirah. Allah Ta'ala talks about everything that has a shadow is prostrating to Allah. Look at the signs. The tree has a shadow, prostrating to Allah. Everything has a shadow. Hence, everything is prostrating to Allah. You choose not to. And in another part of the Quran, Allah Ta'ala mentions, I think Surah Qalam, that on the Day of Judgment, they will want to do prostrate to Allah, but they will not be able to, because their backs will be made straight. They will not be able to prostrate to Allah. So Allah Ta'ala is reminding them, everything prostrates, but you do not. And then they would associate with Allah daughters. So they would say angels are the daughters of Allah. But then when they had daughters themselves, in this surah it mentions, they would become embarrassed, their faces would drop, they would want to go and hide, and they would want to bury them. Allah Ta'ala says, what is this confusion? You're associating daughters with Allah and you don't like them yourself. What is this? Think about this, what are you doing? Subhanallah al-Azim. Yeah, this one ayah, I must take ayah 44. This ayah 44 is very important for us to understand, yeah. It is talking about dhikr. I mentioned in the previous surah, dhikr, yeah, a dhikr. Ayah 44 of Surah Nahl. We will take this section, وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الذِّكْرَ. Yeah, Allah Ta'ala is saying, وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الذِّكْرَ. We have revealed to you the al-dhikr. Al-dhikr is the reminder, meaning this Quran. لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ مَا نُزِّلَ إِلَيْهِمْ وَلَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. So that you may make clear to the people what has been sent down to them and they might give it thought. This is telling us the objective of the Prophet ﷺ, in that he is the recipient of this al-dhikr, reminder, and tubayyin, to clarify it, to make it clear, to explain it. This is the mission and the position given to the Prophet ﷺ. Hence, Allah Ta'ala, I want you to make a note of this here. Allah Ta'ala, He preserved this deen not only by preserving the Quran in the memory and in writing, but also to the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and its understanding. Nobody can come and interpret Quran differently now, in their own way. No, Allah Ta'ala preserved it by the Prophet ﷺ explaining it and the Sahaba understanding it, etc., etc. Yes? Is that clear? Okay, khair. It's important for da'is to know, especially like you, mashallah, so that you can be confident in your Islam and your, inshallah ta'ala, da'wah. Okay, more proofs are coming for the Rububiyyah of Allah. Yeah, beautiful. Talks about milk, yeah, from the cow. Comes from within the intestines where there is all the discharge. But when you drink it, it's beautiful. Yeah, amazing, subhanallah. It talks about the bee. Yeah, it talks about the bee. And it says that Allah inspired the bee to build houses, yeah, in the trees, and then from within it excretes, you could say, honey, which is good to taste and shifa. It has got medicinal, yeah, effect on you. And subhanAllah, if you study the bees, they're amazing. They're amazing. People are studying the bees and they're studying ants at the moment to find out so many things. One study about the ants, they found how to design communication systems on the internet by studying how the ants communicate and how they create networks. And there's no traffic jam when they're working, subhanAllah. And in the bees, there are so many bees. There's the mother bee or queen bee, yeah, the worker bees, then there is nurse bee, then there is the soldier bee, then there's the bee that goes and comes back. When they come back, there's some way of registering that this is the best path to the flowers, this is not, subhanAllah. Amazing system Allah Ta'ala created in the bees. For nothing. And without the bees, no pollination in this country. There's a problem, isn't there, at the moment? For the last few years there has been. That there's not enough pollination, hence fruit does not grow as much, etc., etc. Khair. And it talks about the ni'am, the blessings in that Allah Ta'ala, He gave us the cattle, their hair, we use the hair, their fur, yeah, fur, expensive coats made out of fur. The leather, all this leather, where did it come from? SubhanAllah, yeah? All this carpet, where did it come from? All of these ni'mah from Allah Ta'ala. So Allah Ta'ala is saying, look at these and reflect. Let's move on to the next section. Section number 4. we'll just take a few of these things, inshallah. The rights of Allah and the rights of creation. Ayah 90 is very profound, and you may have heard this a lot in khutbah. Yeah, this is something that is commonly recited in the khutbah. Ayah 90. Beautiful guidelines in this, subhanallah. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. In this ayah, there's a whole system of life. Whole system of life. Allah Ta'ala, He says, He orders justice, number one, good conduct, and giving help to relatives. 3 things, yeah? Social system, yeah? All the system, 3 fundamentals. And 3 things Allah Ta'ala says, don't do. Allah Ta'ala, yanha anil fahsha. He stops you from fahsha, obscenity. Obscenity can be nudity and it can be your vulgar language. Yeah? These are just some examples. Wal munkar, and all evil, and baghi, and oppression. Do not oppress. And Allah Ta'ala says, ya'idukum la'allakum tadhakkarun. He advises you so that you may take guidance from this. May Allah Ta'ala give us the guidance. Ameen. And the manners in which to recite Al-Quran are being given here. فَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. So when you start to recite Quran, say أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. So that shaitan will not interfere with your understanding of Quran. Because once you start understanding Quran, you start following Allah. This is exactly the opposite of what He wants. He wants you to go the other way. So once we start reading Quran, we say أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. So Allah makes it easy for us. And then it talks about an incident in the time of in the time of the Prophet ﷺ in Mecca, when the people were being tortured. And Ammar ibn Yasir, you know Ammar ibn Yasir, yeah? Yasir and Sumayya, husband and wife, they were the first 2 martyrs of Islam. Yeah? Who were they? You tell me. Who were they? What are the names? Ammar, Yasir, the father Yasir, and Sumayya. The son is Ammar. Yeah? And he gave in to that and he said something which was to say, I don't believe. Allah Ta'ala is telling us here, whoever disbelieves after Allah, whoever disbelieves in Allah after his belief, except for the one who is forced while his heart is secure. So inside he had faith, then Allah Ta'ala is saying there is no blame on him. Yeah, if a person is forced in this situation, Allah Ta'ala is telling him there is no blame because he felt very guilty after that. So there is no blame on him. Then the last, we just take one, the 5th section is talking about Ibrahim alayhi salam being shakir, being grateful, and the last section is giving us guidance on Bismillah. Allah al-Musta'an. Is giving us guidance on being patient and steadfast. Yeah, so let's just take those few ayat in the end of this surah now, ayah 21, 25 onwards. ادعو إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن إن ربك هو أعلم بمن ضل عن سبيله وأعلم بالمهتدين. So when you're giving da'wah, wisdom, good instruction, good preaching, fair preaching. And if you're going to argue, argue in a politer manner than the person opposite you. Do not stoop to the level. Yes, don't lose your cool ever. Otherwise you're not giving da'wah. وَإِذْ عَاقَبْتُمْ فَعَاقِبُوا مِثْلِ مَا عُوقِبْتُمْ. And if you are going to punish, then punish equal to what you have been punished with. Don't go over the bounds. وَلَئِنْ صَبَرْتُمْ. But if you are patient, لَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لِلصَّابِرِينَ. That's better. If you forgive, that's better. وَاصْبِرْ. And be steadfast, patient. وَمَا صَبْرُكَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. And you will not have this patience except by the will of Allah. وَلَا تَحْزَنْ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا تَكُوا فِي ضَيْقٍ مِمَّا يَمْكُرُونَ. And do not grieve over them and do not feel this constraint again about what they're planning. You know, a lot of people, they just sit and worry about enemies of Allah doing this, enemies of Allah doing this, and they get depressed. No, give da'wah. Enemy has his job, you have your job. Shaitan has his job, you have your job. Don't let the shaitan constrain you. No. Never give in to that. إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ مُحْسِنُونَ. Allah Ta'ala, He is the one who is with the people of taqwa. And He is the one who is with the people of doing good. Khair, with that, we have come to the end of Surah Nahl. I just wanted to reiterate some points which we will take next time, inshallah. But khair, inshallah, please make a note of these things, study them carefully so that you can, inshallah ta'ala, when you read the Quran, read it with the overviews, section by section, inshallah, you will find a proper understanding of Quran, inshallah. Ameen. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruk wa atubu ilayk wa jazakumullahu khairan.